Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I'm your host, Steven Avalos, alongside my dad.
Hello.
I know it has been a little while. We were on vacation recently. I mentioned that we've been around. And for me, I was in Seattle a couple weeks ago, and then just last week we were in LA. Had a really great time. Me and the parents hanging around Disneyland. Also, just checking out LA a little bit as well. Really great time.
Yeah, it's nice hanging out with you.
Yeah. But anyways, though, we want to go back into talking about sports, and we'll just...
Do we have to talk about sports?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
But anyways, we do want to give a quick congratulations to the Atlanta Braves for winning the World Series.
Woo!
A big congratulations from us, too, mainly because, they had a good story behind them. You know, they had to go through a lot of adversity, you know. They didn't really do that well through most of the season, but they were able to make some really strong strides to finish things off. A great deadline. Of course, one of the other things that they had to deal with was...
deadline acquisition?
Yeah, Jock Peterson, Eddie Rosario, Adam Duvall, just to name a few. It was hard to, replicate any production that Acuna had, because losing him was... I thought that was it.
Well, they were below 500 halfway through the season.
Yeah, things were not looking good, but they ended up winning the division, and they pulled off upset after upset. They beat the Dodgers.
Milwaukee.
Yeah, Milwaukee, then the Dodgers, and then they were heavy underdogs going against Houston, and then they stole a home game from them. Then they were able to win 2 out of 3 on their home turf. And then they were able to finish off in 6.
Finished them off in Houston. I love that.
It was a shutout, too.
Yeah.
Completely shut him out. Fried, he had a bad first game. Or Fried, however you say his last name. He had a bad first game.
I think in Europe he would be known as Fried.
But, bad first game. And then he just was completely dominant. 6 scoreless innings. And then the bullpen came in and made sure it stayed that way.
Yeah, great game. Finished them off.
And actually, we forgot one of their biggest acquisitions, who ended up winning World Series MVP, Jorge Solaire.
Okay, what a monster.
Oh, my God. His home run, just any of the home runs he had were monsters, but his final one in the World Series was over the train tracks.
Yeah, actually, he led I'm not sure baseball, but at least the National League in distance traveled on his home run balls. And a little tidbit of information.
Huh. And so, but some bad news, though. The A's lost Bob Melvin. He is going to join the San Diego Padres as their manager. I think it's, as bad as it is for the A's, I think it's a great pickup on San Diego's part.
Yeah,
they needed a new manager. Melvin is a guy that has been known for, being able to manage a lot without, the best of resources.
As proof, managing the A's.
Yeah. And now that he's got a group of guys that, have great resources, a team, organization that's willing to provide him those resources, whatever he needs.
Whatever he needs. Bob, what can I get you? What position player you need? They'll get him.
I won't be surprised if in a year or two he asks for Matt Olson.
He won't get well.
Why
why wouldn't Matt want to stay with the A's?
Money.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Also, chance at winning a ring.
That makes sense
plus, too. I think the Padres could need a first baseman in the near future. Because Eric Hosmer, I don't think he ever really lived up to his deal. So, that's one reason right there.
Well, the A's didn't have to lose Melvin. They gave him the opportunity to speak to the Padres, and he took advantage of it, and now he's gone.
Yeah, overall, I think it's a great move for the Padres, and it just shows that the A's are likely to go under a rebuild. The big question now, though, is who are they going to get as a manager? Are they going to look for someone older, which some people have speculated to be Ron Washington after winning a World Series as the third base coach, or they're going to try to go younger, which multiple teams have been doing.
Yeah, I don't know who they have in their future to be manager. But I like Ron Washington. He's a proven commodity, and he's also another player's coach with a winning track record. So couldn't go wrong with him.
Yeah, so all they're looking to do is rebuild. Then Ron Washington is the guy. Unless they really want to try to build something up, then I would understand going with someone younger. But I think you need like the pieces a bit more set up. So right now, I think they're gonna go through the fall in their time as a franchise. You know what I mean? Like, it feels like they're already in the middle of a rebuild and now they're on the rise. Then I understand making a move for a younger manager to win with them. But right now, they're falling.
Well, they're not falling that bad. They still have a good core group of players.
Yeah, but I don't think a lot of them aren't. I don't think it will last.
Well, if there's some way they can sign Marte, I doubt they will. But if there's some way they could sign him, they already lost Diekman and the guy they got from the Cubs,
Chafin.
They're lost through free agency, so it's gonna be an interesting year to say the least. I think they're gonna have a winning record though. They're gonna be a good, decent team.
I'm gonna say no.
They get Laureano back. You know,
I say they get
unsteroided. Hopefully,
I say they get around 70 this year.
What?
Next year?
I figure 85 to 90.
Okay. Anyways, though, what do you want to go into now? Basketball?
Yeah, I'll go basketball real quick.
Yeah. So it's been a pretty good season so far, especially for the Golden State Warriors. They are 6-1 right now, and I didn't really expect things to go that well. Mainly because they still don't have Klay Thompson. I was still concerned on how they would perform, like on the bench, whenever Curry wasn't around. And that's shown in multiple games where if Curry leaves the floor, then they just forget how to play basketball every now and then. Yeah,
we've needed Poole to come through, and he has. He's had a couple of incredible games, but then again, he fades away sometimes too. Wiggins has still been his trustworthy self. Curry, same thing. In fact, they've been winning with him scoring no points in the last quarter, 2 games in a row. Their lone loss is to Memphis, and that was a game where they had a decent-sized lead. But when Curry went out of the game, they lost the lead and eventually the game.
Yeah. Someone that has been really good so far, though, and he's pretty much was on the bottom of or near the bottom of the roster, was Gary Payton.
Yeah, the Glove Junior.
Yeah, he has just been extremely good. At least considering where he is in the roster.
Well, he's been good when he's been in there. He hasn't played in all the games. He was the very last roster pick, if I do believe. In fact, They got rid of him and then got him back the last day before season started.
Yeah, I think it was to make sure he was on a 2-way deal or something like that. But yeah, no, it was really nice what he's been able to do. And I think a lot of it is just really coming from his last game, because I don't think we really talked about him too much for most of the season, but just the way he played in their last game against the Thunder was amazing. He only had 13 minutes, I believe. 13 to 17 minutes. Not much
14
time.
14 points?
Yeah, 14 points.
I think 3 rebounds?
A really
no,
nice...
3 steals he had.
No, I think it was just 1 steal. One block. That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, so he might have had 3 steals.
Yeah, block shot from that little man.
And then,
with something else.
And then a great dunk on Kelly Oubre, which I bet he used some of the force of the Warriors fan base, their frustrations that they had with him.
Yeah, it's funny about Kelly Oubre because he left the Warriors because the Warriors said he's going to have to come off the bench. And what happened with the Thunder?
He's coming off the bench.
Yeah, so take that, Kelly. Take it to the bank.
And he went 13 minutes and scored 0 points.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just. Ugh.
So the Western Conference. We have the Jazz in first place, 7-1. The Warriors, second place, 6-1. Dallas, third place, 5-3, along with the Memphis Grizzlies, also 5-3. Phoenix Suns, 4-3. Lakers, 5-4. Denver Nuggets, 4-4, and the Sacramento Kings rounding out the top 8 at also 4-4.
And then the Eastern Conference, you got the Philadelphia 76ers at 7-2, Miami Heat at 6-2, Bulls also at 6-2. Raptors at 6-3, Nets at 5-3, Knicks at 5-3, Wizards also at 5-3, And the Cavaliers at 5-4.
Yeah, winning record.
The most surprising team I'd say on the Eastern Conference would be the Chicago Bulls. And we should have known that they were going to be better than last year just because of their offseason. They had a great one. One of them was being able to get Alex Caruso, having Zach LaVine there. He's already been there, but things were just really looking good for them, and so far they've really delivered. Some teams that have been disappointing though are the Clippers. They're at 3-4. The Trailblazers at 3-5. I know Damian Lillard hasn't been playing as well, and some of that might have to do with him not being able to go to the free throw line as much. I don't think he's as dependent as other players are, but ever since they've implemented this new way of officiating to not reward free throws
and
so
often.
Can you
explain that? Yeah.
Well, basically they're just trying not to reward free throws to players that might flop often, or they're like fishing.
And the ones who cause the contact instead of getting contact.
Yeah. And so, some players that have dipped in their scoring, that's been Damian Lillard, James Harden, Trae Young. And, I don't know about Luka Doncic. I don't know if his play has been affected that much, but I know he's also someone that would go for fouls too. Or even LeBron James, but he hasn't been playing that much, so we haven't really seen him get affected. He's been dealing with multiple injuries.
Yeah, the worst team in the league right now, actually there's two of them, the New Orleans Pelicans, but Zion's not playing, and Detroit Pistons, you expect them to be there. Hawks are 4-5 along with the Celtics. Bucks are 4-4. Expect them to break into the top 8 probably in a couple of weeks.
Overall, though, I do like that they implemented this new way of officiating games just because I think it's a joke. Whenever you have games be decided because a team got to the free throw line more often than the other one. Because I know people like to bring up discipline and all that, but the thing is that players on offense are able to force their hand. So whereas either you play defense and I get to go to the free throw line, or you quit and I have a better chance at making my shot because you're not even going to try. It just was such a lose-lose scenario for defenses. And now that they got this rule in, now people have to earn their shots. More honest basketball.
Yeah, even though Harden did take 19 free throws the other day, I think they forgot what the rules were that day.
Yeah, and actually the Pelicans, the Warriors will be playing them today. It should be an easy game for the Warriors.
They played them tough last time.
Yeah.
Yeah, in New Orleans.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, hopefully it goes well. Anyways, though, is there anything else you want to say about the game? Or just anything else about NBA?
No, that's about it.
Okay, so we're going to move on to basketball now.
Basketball?
Yeah. No, football. My bad.
Oh, jeez.
But we do want to start off with something on the serious side.
You don't want anything about LeBron James? Anything more?
No.
Okay.
But going to something serious, though, the Raiders wide receiver Henry Ruggs was involved in a fatal car accident that he caused. It killed a 23-year-old woman and her 3-year-old dog. He was going at 156 miles per hour.
Well, dog years, it was actually 27.
Oh, okay. But anyways, yeah.
Very tragic.
Yeah. Completely Ruggs' fault. We're not gonna try to say like, it was just one simple mistake. No, it was a big mistake.
You double legal limit, going 156 miles an hour. Just.
We know he feels bad about it, but it still doesn't negate what happened. And, this is gonna be hard on the team, but most importantly, it's hard on the victim's family. That I'm sure that she was loved by many people, and you really got to feel for them right now and hope that they can get through this tough time.
And no excuse for him being behind the wheel, being as impaired as he was.
Now, one thing I do want to say, though, because there is, because they say he had, 18... he had a lot of shots. He had a lot to drink there when he was at Topgolf.
Yeah.
Do you think at some point, and I'm not saying this is an excuse for him.
Oh, no. They should have cut him off.
Yeah. Or, because, sometimes, you might have other people order for you and then you still drink. I feel like businesses... And it could be a lot to ask. I think you're asking a lot out of people because, it's like, oh, well, people aren't going to get paid enough to have to go out of their way. But I still think that some businesses either cut you off or like they should monitor when you're leaving.
That's their job to do.
And
I can't help but think that.
Like it's still like again, no excuse for Ruggs. But I
there's never going to be an excuse for what he did.
The businesses that serve alcohol should monitor their customers and what condition they're in when they leave. And of course, sometimes people can still get their way around it. You know, someone that's drunk and easy say, "Oh, my friend's gonna drive, or I'm gonna get an Uber," and then they just get off there. Because, like I said, how far are employees actually gonna go to make sure? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
it's asking a lot.
I can guarantee you there will be some lawsuits involved with Topgolf.
Possibly, and then apparently the NFL or like multiple NFL teams have services to provide rides for their players or staff members if they were to need a ride.
Well, the players have enough money to be able to afford a chauffeur. Now, that may seem over the top, but if you're going to be going out and drinking and driving, that's unacceptable. Yeah. You have the money to get around places, to do anything you want. You want to drink and party and have a good time? Fine, get a driver. Don't do it yourself.
And then seeing the press conference, Derek Carr was talking about how he actually got a text from Ruggs the previous night, but it wasn't about him drinking or anything. It was just like because he was at Topgolf and he was asking him like, "Oh, hey, you and he was texting Renfro too, Hunter Renfro, and said like, "Oh yeah, I need to work on my swing and all that. You know, you should help me out." And Carr, the next morning talked about just how like crazy it was to see that. To hear the news, just after texting him the previous night. And you can definitely tell that Carl was very emotional and all that. Completely heartbroken. Then he kind of just like said, he was voicing that, if anyone ever needs a ride, please like tell him. If he doesn't care how late it is, he'll do whatever he can.
Yeah, we've told you the same thing. If you get around to drinking, do the right thing. We totally dig it if you just give us a call to pick you up, whatever. You just can't drink and drive. It's too dangerous.
Yep. And it's kind of a little bit of a shift now. Now to go into Carr when it came to that conference is that he's, depending on where you are on like him, I think you can definitely say that he's been through a lot as a quarterback. So many head coaching changes. Players coming and going, plenty of losing records, and this year has been really tough as well. He got his head coach resigning due to the whole email thing, and now his player is probably going to go to prison because he killed someone. Yeah,
he'll never play it down in the NFL again.
Yeah, I highly doubt it. That's a lot for someone to handle, but I think the way that at least when it came to Gruden, the way they were playing afterwards showed that I think Carr was doing something right when it came to leadership. And you hear from the coaching staff, they all, referenced Carr. Some of them did take some credit, but a lot of them pointed their fingers at Carr for why they're all still together. And I've seen some of the photos at their practices this week, after what happened with Ruggs, and they all, some of them you could see them like holding each other, kind of like I guess probably talking about what happened a bit, but other times you see them doing what they should be doing. They gotta
stay focused.
Yeah, and they look focused. You see them still kind of enjoying themselves a bit, and I think that's what a team needs to do. And I think Carr definitely deserves a lot of credit. You can say what you want about him, a bit about how he plays. Although this year he's been phenomenal. He is second in yards a game passing. He's more aggressive than ever, but as a man off the field, he's done a great job at holding everyone together and staying focused. And something like that might be worth a extension.
A true team leader.
Yeah, that's the thing is you might have someone that has great skill, but if they don't have the leadership, then it's kind of a waste. And right now he's showing both this year. I'm not saying he's always been showing that, but this year he has both leadership and skill. And I think he should the Raiders should start thinking about an extension. Of course, that's if he is consistent. They still have to.
Let's see let's see the rest of this year.
Yeah, that's been a big problem as well. Is that they've had bad finishes to the last 2 seasons, so they gotta keep going.
Yeah.
But things are pointing in the right direction when it comes to Carr. Although I still think though that he should take a team-friendly deal. I could see him taking one.
Team-friendly deal and how? Not taking as much money?
Yeah, I could see him doing that. To ensure that he gets certain teammates that he will need, especially Devontae Adams, because unfortunately now they are going to need another wide receiver, and there have been some rumors that Carr and Adams have been talking to each other about teaming up in the future, and knowing what's going on with Rodgers.
Are players supposed to do that? Are allowed to do that?
I think they can joke about it.
Oh yeah. By the way, never mind.
But yeah, that is something I would like to see though. In the next offseason. Of course, that's if Devontae Adams chooses to stay in Green Bay or not. I have no idea if he will.
Wherever Rodgers goes, he will follow. Speaking of Rodgers.
Well, Rodgers actually just had something really interesting today. I don't know if you heard about it.
No, I haven't. Please inform me.
He was on the Pat McAfee show. You know who Pat McAfee is?
Oh, everybody knows Pat McAfee. No, who is he?
Well, he was a punter for the Colts, and now he has like a talk show and all that. Because he was a very lively player, even though he was only on special teams. Rodgers had a lot of interesting things to say on his show that just came off as, really bizarre. And, recently he was tested positive for COVID. And the thing is, we thought that it would be, okay because he was vaccinated, but it turns out he isn't.
He did some kind of holistic vaccination.
Or I thought he was joking about having a flu one.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, I did say I'm vaccinated or something like that. There's just a lot of weird things being said. He referenced like woke mob, cancel culture, and all that. Although he did say that he's not anti-vax, he says that he's allergic to something that's in a couple of versions of the vaccine.
Nice for him to let people know now.
Yeah. Or mentioned doing his own research and all that. Even like, I don't know, it just got really weird.
Like Kyrie Irving's doing his own research.
Yeah.
The whole thing with the vaccine, we were talking about the other day during the Warrior game. Wiggins was so anti-vaccine. How do you feel now that he's had the vaccine and nothing has happened to him? Was he wrong the whole time? Is Kyrie Irving paying attention to this and saying, hey, maybe I should get the shot because other people who were against getting the shot are now getting the shot and nothing's happening to them? They're not disintegrating or, whatever?
Yeah, and I don't. And I just wonder what that's going to do with his relationship in Green Bay, because I have to think they got to be bugged by that. But anyways, though, we're going to go into our picks from last week and all that. So we'll try to
the ones you didn't get to hear.
Yeah, we'll try to keep it quick. So anyways,
didn't we all have both of us had perfect picks?
I was gonna make a joke about that, but okay.
I beat you the punch.
I was gonna say, anyway, so we both went 14-0 in every category.
Yeah,
as we do something like that. But anyways, I say that a lot. I notice. But anyways, it's something I should work on. I'll try to work on it.
We've been getting a lot of letters about that, actually.
Yeah, well, now let's move on to what we had last week. So, Green Bay and Arizona. I had Arizona winning, covering, and going over. I missed out on all three, and a lot of that, most of that was due to one play where A.J. Green forgot that he was a wide receiver. I was so frustrated by that. All he had to do was just turn around, and he had a good shot at the ball, but
he wasn't even looking at the ball.
I had to think that he thought it was a running play, or just that he wasn't going to be the primary target. But still, he must have thought it was a running play. But with no timeouts, and they're still like a decent away from the end zone, why would you even think that they would run? I would understand running it if it's your last play of the game, because then you don't have to worry about the clock anymore.
That was a great game, though.
Yeah, no, it was a great game.
Back and forth.
Carolina and Atlanta. Atlanta was favored by 3, and I went with them to win and cover and go under. I at least got the under. Atlanta just looked pretty bad. Matt Ryan also hurt his non-throwing hand. It was bleeding a lot, but I still don't think that's like he still had his throwing hand, but it looked like his throwing hand was the one that got stomped on sometimes. Cincinnati and the Jets, that was the biggest upset of the week. Jets are not a good team whatsoever, and yet they made Bengals look bad. What do you have to say about that?
Jets quarterback Mike White had 405 yards. Totally biggest upset of the week, maybe even the year.
And he barely went downfield at all, too. It's not like he was like delivering bombs to his receivers. It was just slow drives and check downs, stuff to the sideline. He really didn't do that much, but Bengals just never really had an answer. And also they had some crucial turnovers as well.
And the Jets played the Colts last night. We're recording this on a Friday. And Mike White got injured in the second quarter.
Yeah, his hand was getting kind of numb. He didn't have feeling.
Yeah, he threw a touchdown pass, and his hand hit another hand of the defensive lineman and screwed it up, and he didn't go back into the game. But he played a good game last night again while he was in there.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. Jets were pretty much killed for that game, but we'll go into that later. But that's something that Jets fans can take away for the year, though. They could be happy with that.
Yeah.
Rams in Houston. Rams won this soundly. I had Rams winning and covering, which they did, and I had it going under, which it ended up going over because the Rams stopped playing defense.
They let Houston score the last couple times.
And then Miami and Buffalo. Buffalo won, but they've done this before where they don't win games as well as they should be. They're still winning them, but it could be a little bit better.
Yeah, once again, have a big lead. They're resting on their laurels and letting the other team score.
Yeah,
literally. I mean, they just let the other team go back down the field in a couple minutes.
It wasn't that much with Buffalo. Remember, it was 3-3 at halftime, and all that. It was just no one wanted to score. Philadelphia and Detroit. I thought Detroit had a chance on this one. How is it they look so good against
tougher teams?
Yeah, where it looks like they deserve a shot at a win, and yet when a perfect opportunity presents itself against Philadelphia, which isn't a good football team, they completely lose themselves.
Crap their pants.
Yeah, it was just ugly football all around. And Pittsburgh and Cleveland. Pittsburgh is just being that team again where they just cannot die immediately. Or, even when they're good, they end up dying in the end.
Yeah, but Mayfield's looking pretty bad.
Yeah, and Odell Beckham actually was just released today. Don't know how much of it was his fault, if he was being a diva or, maybe he had a point. Because I will say...
he doesn't like playing on losing teams. He never has. Well, and he starts turning into a...
Well, I don't know if it's that, but it's really just that also he was never getting any targets. Even though there were times when you look at the film, he's wide open multiple times, and Mayfield either just doesn't throw it to him or it's a bad pass. And so I can't help but think about that too.
Next.
San Francisco and Chicago. This one is a surprisingly good game. San Francisco looked really good on offense. Garoppolo had a couple touchdowns himself. Elijah Mitchell had a good game. Deebo Samuel did too. Fields looked a little bit better at times. That's something you can take away for them, I guess.
He's just up and down quarterback right now. There's a lot of quarterbacks like that. Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. If there's going to be an offensive rookie of the year, I think Jamar Chase is the best option. Although he's also coming off a pretty bad game. He had 2 or 3 drops, and one of them also was a potential touchdown.
Tennessee, Indianapolis.
Yeah, Indianapolis, they were favored, which I didn't understand for a while. Although when I wrote it down, it was them as the underdog. I thought it was easy to have that one go over 50.5, which it did. Tennessee, though, they should be happy with their win, but...
They lost Henry.
Yeah, and that was pretty much their identity, was him. So now that it's going to fall on Tannehill, you want
Tannehill to the rescue.
Because Tannehill hasn't been playing that well this year.
Hasn't needed to. We had Henry.
Yeah, but now it's up to him. Jacksonville and Seattle. I don't know how they're going to do Oh wait, no, not how they're gonna do it. How they did. Jacksonville was just awful. Seattle they did what they needed to do without Russell Wilson. Now they're on a bye week, so that's a good way to. You always want to go into the bye week with a win. New England and Los Angeles Chargers. Chargers have looked bad for the second game in a row after they were leading the division for just a little bit. But now you just wonder, is it going to revert to the Chargers that they have been usually, where they just aren't enough ever? Because they do look bad right now in their last two games.
Yeah, and playing semi-quality teams.
Yeah. Then Tampa Bay and New Orleans, another big upset right there, and this was without Jameis Winston. He got hurt in I think it was the first half, first half. He got hurt and he's out for the season, tearing his ACL and damage to his MCL. Trevor Siemian came in, and he's not like he was great, but he did good enough to keep them in, and they ended up winning. And I thought things were going perfectly for Tampa Bay to win it in the end, but Brady made a bad read, threw it right to a defender, and he took it all the way back.
Brady doesn't play good against New Orleans.
In the regular season.
In the regular season, yes.
Because he's
point that out.
He's
very true.
0-3 in the regular season, but 1-0 in the playoffs. Although I feel like a lot of that, too, was Drew Brees not being able to throw past 10 yards.
And it's one of those weird stats, where somebody just, that's their kryptonite, a certain team. At
a certain time.
Yeah.
Washington football team in Denver. This one was pretty boring. 17-10 final, favoring Denver. It was pretty bad. Denver looks good in some ways, but just not good enough. Especially only scoring 17 points, considering some of the people that they have. And Washington, now they just look like a bad football team. They're not the Washington football team. They're just the bad football team.
Sunday night we had Dallas at Minnesota. That's the second upset. Dallas was missing Prescott. He wasn't playing because he didn't feel healthy enough, and they went into Minnesota and beat the Vikings.
Yeah, I really thought that Minnesota was gonna win.
Everybody did too.
But some credit to Dallas. They rose to the occasion. They did what they had to, and Cousins just looked bad. And Cook wasn't getting his usual production either. Cook wasn't running that well.
Yeah, but that's another up and down quarterback. It's Cousins. His whole career plays great one day, crappy the next. That was a crappy Sunday game for him.
Giants and Chiefs. I think the Chiefs won.
How they won, I don't know.
Well, they got the benefit of playing against the Giants.
That's the only reason why they won.
Yep. We wonder if they're ever going to figure out what's wrong with them right now, because they just do not look like a good football team. There's so many times that they should be able to win games by double digits, but they just don't.
Well, Mahomes
haven't won that much either. They're like 5-4 now.
Mahomes is making some really dumb decisions when he, instead of throwing the ball out of bounds, he'll just throw it up in the air. It gets intercepted, and he did that 3 games in a row, and he almost got it intercepted for a 4th game in a row. He's just not making the right decisions.
Yeah. I don't know if they're going to figure it out or not this year, because the way that they do things is how they've always been, and I don't know if that's something that you can just, take out in the middle of the season. I think they got to fix it later. But anyways, though, for our record, I was 8-7 straight up. That brings my overall to 85-37. I was 7-8 against the spread, bringing my overall record to 62-59-1, and I was 9-6 over under, bringing my record to 63-57-2. And Dad, do you know what your records were?
I was 8-7 all the way down.
Oh yeah.
Over under 8-7, win 8-7, covered 8-7.
And now
then a definite anomaly.
So now going into our picks for this week.
Week 9.
I had a great start. Jets and Colts. I had Colts winning and covering. I was surprised. I actually did think that I had the Jets covering and all that, but I actually didn't. And I had it going over 45, and they were able to hit that by the third quarter. The final was 45-30. Yeah, I was really sweating though in the end and in the final minute because it was like 45-10 or 45-16 at one point, and they just kept letting them score.
What was the final?
45-30.
Oh, wow.
And it ended in the final minute. Jets had the ball at the 10-yard line, but Josh Johnson had a pass get tipped and it went straight up into the Colts.
Well, I had so much faith.
It could have been less than 10 points, so they could have covered. They had a really good chance to cover.
I had so much faith in Mike White that I picked the Jets to cover the spread, but once he got hurt, that went down the tubes. So I missed on that, but I did pick the Colts to win.
The over/under?
I went over.
And Raiders and Giants were going to get straight to it, especially since it's early morning game, so it feels right to just go right to it. Raiders are favored by 3 points. Over/under is 46.5. I know that they have to deal a lot with what happened in the past week, and that's going to be tough to handle. But I still think that they are the better football team over the Giants. The Giants also just aren't a good football team in general. And I'm also considering the fact that they have to go cross-country.
That's the key right there, because Raiders generally don't do good going cross-country.
Yeah. But they did well so far in the first game against Pittsburgh, although that isn't as far as, heading to New York, I'm pretty sure. Or New Jersey, where they're actually at. Because I had to make sure to look that up and know where they're actually at, because I want to see how the weather will be. Because I think they said their highest will be around the 50s and their lowest is like in the high 30s. So that the temperature will also have an effect as well. The ball might not be able to fly as well. But Raiders last year, they were actually a good team away. They were 6-2 away last year. That involved playing in Denver in the cold. Of course, they do that every year. Playing in Denver, having to play in Cleveland during a little bit of a snowstorm or like a hail.
A little bit cold.
And also New York, they were in Jets territory there, which is the same exact place where the Giants play. So they had to deal with some stuff as well.
Adversity?
Yeah, away at least. So I don't think it's completely. I wouldn't put it outside of them to still do well on offense.
Any idea what the weather will be like this weekend?
I said it was like high 50s to high 30s. You definitely hope it gets as high as possible because you don't want it to be too cold there, especially in a stadium like that. I know there's a lot of injuries in that stadium in MetLife. I've heard about that before.
Yeah, the Raiders are 5-2, Giants are 2-6. I got the Raiders winning and covering and going under.
Yeah, I have it winning and covering, but I have it going over because I think the Raiders can score plenty of points, but I feel like they're gonna allow the Giants to score a little bit in the end, and I think it's gonna carry over like in the last minute or two. That's what I'm thinking. But another factor that people I think aren't considering enough. I have some people that think it's gonna be a close game or that the Giants will win. But the Giants haven't been able to practice as much because they had to deal with like 13 players missing practice due to potentially having COVID.
Not a good thing.
They still aren't going to have Saquon Barkley. He's listed as doubtful, but he barely practiced, and that's also missing treatment. So I don't know. Other players are also going to be missing as well. Like I said, not being able to practice as much is going to have a big effect too. That's what happened last year when you would have whole teams not be able to practice because of COVID, or they had to delay their games. But they're not going to have that pleasure of being able to get a delay. So that's something else to consider as well. And
we'll be able to find out if practice makes perfect.
And if Carr's leadership, along with the coaches, is still there. Because if it is going the way that we've been seeing it go so far, especially like after they handle Gruden, I think they could still come out as a powerful team. Yeah. So
next game we have Bills 5-2 against the Jags 1-6. Bills are 14-point favorites, and the over/under is 49.
Which one is this again?
Bills Jags.
Bills Jags. I have the Bills winning and covering on this one and going over. I think they can score a lot of points, and they'll allow Jacksonville to score some in the end. I might change it to having it go under, maybe. I need to look over it a bit more, but I'll think about it. Like I said, Bills, sometimes they just don't score as much as they should, but Jacksonville does not have anything interesting on their squad to make it close at all. So I think they'll allow a lot more scoring, but they'll get some for themselves in the end.
Next game, we have Broncos at 4-4 going against the Cowboys 6-1. The Cowboys are getting back Prescott. The Cowboys are 14-point favorites, and over-under is 49.5.
I have the Cowboys winning and covering on this one. I don't see how Denver really stands a chance. Especially, it's also in Dallas too. Like if it was in Denver, then that might change something, I guess, but not really. Dallas should be able to win this one easily, especially with Prescott. Hell, they could have Cooper Rush there still, and I'm pretty sure that he could still cover that game.
I'm going to take the points on this one. 14 points, free 2 touchdowns. I got the Broncos covering, Cowboys winning, and going over.
I think I actually have 10 points, although I got mine from CBS.
Or it might have been different before Prescott, pre-Prescott pick.
Or like news on whether or not he was going to play. But yeah,
if it's 10, I would go Cowboys.
Yeah, 49.5. I'll take the under on that one. I think Cowboys can score plenty, but I don't think Denver will.
Next, we have Browns at Bengals. Browns are 4-4. Bengals are 5-3. 46.5 is the over/under, and Bengals are favored by 2.5.
And for me, I'm going to go with the not the Browns. What am I saying?
What?
Cincinnati to win on this one. I just don't see how the Browns look bad right now, and they're dealing with a lot of injuries. They also got the whole thing with the drama going on with Odell Beckham Jr. Even though they did release him, I just think stuff like that is just too distracting for them to deal with, even though he will be gone.
And you're over/under?
Under.
I got the same thing. Next, Falcons are 3-4. Saints are 5-2. 42 points is the over/under, and 5.5. Saints are favored by 5.5.
So I swear, I thought Taysom Hill was going to be starting because it seemed like he was healthy enough, but they announced that it'll be Trevor Siemian starting in this game. I have the Saints winning and covering, but going under 42. I think that's because the Falcons looked so lame on offense last week. They're going against a good New Orleans Saints defense. They just will barely be able to score, and Saints will be able to do enough to win and cover. It shouldn't get that close.
Yeah, I got the Saints winning and covering, and I have over. Next, we have Patriots at 4-4. Panthers at 4-4. Patriots are favored by 3.5, and the over/under is 41.
I had the Patriots. Actually, no, I had the Patriots winning, but Carolina covering. So I mainly have the Panthers covering just because of their defense. I think they got a really.
Is McCaffrey coming back?
Yes, he will be.
Oh,
I think so.
I didn't know this.
I think it's getting closer to that. I'm not completely certain. I haven't heard anyone confirm it, but I think he has a decent chance this week.
Okay.
If he isn't playing, then I would have New England cover. Okay. If he is, I have Carolina covering. You know, they still have a good defense. I would have it go over 41.
I got the same. Next, we have Texans at 1-7, Dolphins at 1-7. The over/under is 46.5. Dolphins are favored by 6.5.
I think the Texans might get Tyrod Taylor back, and they honestly didn't look like a terrible team.
Tyrod Taylor?
Tyrod
Taylor?
They didn't look terrible when he was their quarterback, so that's something to think about. But I still think that Miami should be the better team here. Houston is still awful, and I have Miami winning and covering and this game going over. I think there's going to be a lot of scoring in this one. I think it's a great game if you have any of them in fantasy. I think you can't really go wrong.
I got Dolphins winning and covering and going under. We have Vikings and the Ravens. Vikings are 3-4. Ravens are 5-2. The over-under is 50, and Ravens are favored by 6.
Both teams are coming out like kind of bad weeks for themselves. Ravens had a bye week, but before that, they got embarrassed by Cincinnati, and Minnesota got embarrassed by Dallas. So one of them needs a bit of a comeback, but that should be Baltimore easily.
With my notes, I have who or what are the Vikings. Yeah. You can't make head or tails of that team. I got the Ravens winning and covering, and a game going over.
I think they just had a bad week in their last game, so I'm going to give them the win and cover, and I have it going under.
You saying the Vikings had a bad week?
No, the Ravens.
Okay.
And their last game.
Okay.
Because they had a bye week, but in their last game, it was bad for them.
Next game is Chargers 4-3, Eagles 3-5. The over/under is 50, and Chargers are favored by 2.
I had the Eagles actually winning, covering this one. I decided to go with the little bit of an upset here. I think they're gonna ride high off of their last win. They have a pretty decent running game. They were so run heavy last week, and I'm glad that they're using it again. Although I was pissed I didn't use Kenneth Gainwell, because with Miles Sanders, before he got hurt, Kenneth Gainwell was the second running back option. So you think that with Miles Sanders hurt, Kenneth Gainwell will be the second running back option, right? The first running back option, right?
Mm-hmm.
He got the third least touches. Actually, no. He ended up getting like the least touches running the ball. Jordan Howard was lifted from the practice squad and got more touches than him. Makes zero sense.
None.
I got Gainwell in a couple of leagues, so I was really pissed about that. He ended up with like 1 or 2 points in fantasy, and he was like, a lot of people got him, and everyone was extremely pissed because it made zero sense why you have your number 2 option become number 3 after the number 1 gets hurt.
To fool the defense.
I don't know, but either way, they still ran the ball really well, and the Chargers are terrible against the run. So you won't have to worry too much about Jalen Hurts not doing well at quarterback. So that's just something to think about right there. And their defense has done a pretty good job at holding down quarterbacks mostly. It's a bit of a wishy-washy defense, but if they can get Herbert to screw up every now and then, they'll have a good chance, and I'm betting on that. And I also have this game going over.
Okay, I got the Chargers winning and covering and going under. Next, we have Cardinals at Niners. We're not quite sure if Murray's going to play or not. But it is Niners are 3-4. Cardinals 7-1. Cardinals are favored by 1, and the over/under is 45.
I had the Cardinals winning and covering on this one. I'm pretty sure Kyler Murray will play. I haven't heard too much about him not playing. San Francisco, like I said, they are coming off a pretty good week. They played pretty well, especially with Jimmy Garoppolo, and I think this one will be better than after their last game was a pretty boring one. No, Arizona scored immediately, and then they never really scored again until the fourth quarter. But it should be better than that. But I do have Arizona winning and covering in this one in San Francisco, and going under.
I got the exact same pick. Next, we have Packers at Chiefs. The over/under is 48. Chiefs are favored by 7. And lest I forget, Packers are 7-1. Chiefs are 4-4.
Yeah. What you call it? This is one of the other hard games to choose. I think Chiefs are 5-4. I think, I don't know, because Chiefs are not playing like a good team, and even though the Green Bay Packers will not have Aaron Rodgers, is going to be going with Jordan Love in his first career start, he still has decent targets around him. He's got Devontae Adams, who can make many quarterbacks look good. I remember when Aaron Rodgers got hurt in 2017 and they had to fall to someone else. He wasn't a good quarterback, but Adams still had pretty good numbers. Still got Aaron Jones there as well. And the Chiefs, they're just not really good on defense. So I think that's going to help them out a little bit. They do have Melvin Ingram now from the trade deadline, so that's going to help out their pass rush a bit. But I think Jordan Love will not be terrible. He just has to not turn the ball over and give his offense some opportunities. That's all he has to do, really. Green Bay still has a pretty good defense, I think. I think they could capitalize on some mistakes by Mahomes if he still makes them, which I do think he will. So I'm gonna go with Green Bay to win and cover on this one.
I got the Chiefs winning and covering and going over.
Okay, now that's crazy talk if you have them covering. They can't cover to save their lives. They're like, if football games were decided
Rodgers isn't playing.
If football games were decided by spreads, then Chiefs would be going for the number 1 overall pick.
Next, we have Titans and Rams. Titans are 6-2. Rams are 7-1. 54 is the over/under, and Rams are favored by 7.5.
Yeah, this is really interesting, but I will go with the Rams to win and cover and go under. I don't think there's going to be as much scoring as people think. Like 53.5 on my thing. That's crazy.
Well, the Titans are going to be without Henry, and Von Miller just joined the Rams. So any kind of running game they have, I think, will be...
it won't be there.
It won't be there.
They will have Adrian Peterson, guy like 36 years old. I don't know why people can't sign Todd Gurley. He's like still like in his late 20s.
I don't think they like his name. They named Gurley. Just...
But anyways...
I got the Rams going over under, winning and covering, and game going over.
I have it going under. I just don't see, even if the Rams were to let them score some points in the end.
Or to let them score? You say it's going to be a Ram-dominated game, and they're just going to give up points like they did last week?
Well, I don't think Tennessee's... They're going to have to rely on...
They got Tannehill. Are you kidding me? Didn't you pick him to be your number 5 quarterback?
No, you do.
No, not me.
I never picked Tannehill in the top 5.
Okay.
But I just don't think they're going to be that good this year. So, not good this year. I don't know what I'm saying. I don't think they're going to be good in this game. It's going to be rough for them to have their first game without Derrick Henry. So I have them losing by quite a bit. So I have it going under as well.
And we finished the week with the Bears at the Steelers. The Bears are 3-5. Steelers are 4-3. 40 is the over/under, and Steelers are favored by 6.
I have the Pittsburgh Steelers winning, but the Bears covering. I think Fields looked a lot better last week at some certain points. Not great, but he did look better. So I have this one also going over, but barely over. Just barely.
Barely? You mean as in Chicago barely?
Okay,
Well, I've got the Bears winning and covering and going under.
I might change it to under, honestly. I'm really debating that. I think if I had Pittsburgh winning and covering, then I would have had it going under. But because I think Chicago could still make it somewhat close against Pittsburgh, I'm going to go with them to go with the game to go over. I might change it, though.
And I think that concludes this week.
Yeah. So one more thing before we close off is at least I will give a farewell to the Giants' Buster Posey. He announced his retirement this week.
Buster!
What a career he's had. 3-time world champion. 7-time All-Star.
There you
go. He was an MVP at one point, also a Rookie of the Year.
And he's a first-time dad. 4 kids, 2 sets of twins. And that's his focus in life now.
Yeah, I think he's going to have a great retirement. I wonder if he'll ever pursue being a manager because, so many managers are catchers.
I didn't know his wife hated baseball.
I did not know anything about
that. Yeah, they're moving back to Georgia where I guess they're from. Both the parents live out in Georgia. So,
what does that have to do with
great career, Buster. I love your first name, by the way.
I don't know what that has to do with her hating baseball, though.
Well, and your wife doesn't like what you do. That might have something to do with it. I don't know.
Okay. But
that might be a reach.
Yeah. But anyways, though, I know that... I said it again, but anyways. I know Marissa was probably emotional when she got the news. I figure so. because I was texting her a lot about it, and like I actually broke the news to her, and she's like, "Huh?" I could tell she was devastated, but I think she knows it's also for the best for him as well. Because I heard from his press conference that one of the reasons why he retired was because he was in a lot of pain in his last year and all that.
Yeah, it's tough to enjoy the game when you hurt a lot.
Yeah, especially as a catcher too, and combining that position and age, it's always a pretty sour end, I feel. And so he's getting out while it's good. He's coming off a great year, so I think it's good for him what he's doing.
You're not going to see us do this, but we are saluting you, Buster.
Yep. And that is how we are going to end our show tonight. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully you listen to it, share it with some friends.
And we will get our NBA preview. Even though it'll be halfway during the season before we get out this preview. And we still, of course, have to finish up the final on the A's and Giants wrap up.
Yeah. So to everyone out there, good night.
Good night.